This show has always been about America and just old school common sense. It's not about left or right. He called a lid at 10 a.m. today. It's more about right or wrong. It's about cutting through the noise and finding the truth.
It's uncomfortable talking about all of this stuff.
Finding things we have in common, not what divides us. It's about we the people. We do news, we do sports, we do entertainment, and we have a damn good time in the process. Tuesday. I'm Drew Berquist. This is my show. Damn glad to be with you today. Tom Disco in the studio, as usual, with a very nice vest. Tom, who made your vest? Tell us what you're wearing.
Well, I'm wearing Vera Wang.
You got to hit that.
Sorry, there we go.
You're wearing what?
Vera Wang.
Oh, that was my first guess.
No, actually, the vest, I'm not sure I got this vest. A lot of my, I do know I got the scarf at Cavender's Boot City, Texas Panhandle. If you're out there watching right now, you know Cavender's Boot City, don't you?
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
Sure he does. Very, very beachy today on your front.
Yeah, it's funny. I got this shirt as a birthday gift, and I actually like it.
Well, that's good because you should like your birthday gifts. All right, folks, it's good being back. It was good being back yesterday. A lot of fun. Long-ass days right now. If you haven't checked out rvmnews.com, go check it out. There's great things happening over there. News, sports, entertainment, all sorts of stuff. It's a great news site, and then great shows over there. We got Sean Parnell over there. We got Wayne, all sorts of other stuff going on over there. So go check it out. But it's come with some busy days. Is that me rubbing? Rubbin's racing, baby.
Maybe, yeah, sure.
Rubbin's racing. I don't know. Anyways, the site kind of mirrors what goes on here. All sorts of different types of content. So
we also got some new shows coming out.
New shows coming
this
out
week as well. So
this week, and then in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
So gonna be excited. There's gonna be another show that's getting filmed right here, actually, at Red Beach Studios
on
over
B
at
side.
Studio B. Yeah, it'll be good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we got tons to get to today, as usual. We got RFK Jr., who wants Americans off of gas cars. He wants to jack up gas prices, and then he wants to get everyone in electric vehicles. We're going to talk about that. Trump's attorney, Elena, a very attractive lawyer, Haba, says that the Trump team will continue their campaign from jail if they need to. We got Hunter Biden's trial starting. We've got all sorts of stuff that's going on with that. We've got Biden's new border plan that he's talking about, so we'll talk about that. We've got new stuff going on in the Caitlin Clark saga. There's stuff going on in the NFL. Minicamp starting for 10 teams today. All sorts of things we're going to get to. We'll see how much time we have, but it's going to be good. Before we do all that, guys, though, the current geopolitical situation, it's not good. It's not great. Under this new administration, the economy hasn't exactly inspired confidence. As a result, Americans like you, like me, we're all concerned about our retirement savings, and for good reason. But there is good news. I told you about it. I'm going to keep telling you about it. Because gold has held its value since the dawn of mankind. And did you know that it's mentioned in every book of the Bible? Not just the Old Testament or the New Testament, everyone, Genesis through Revelation. As a faith-driven precious metals company, Genesis Gold Group helps protect Americans from their life savings and the threats that are facing our nation. Here's what I love about them. This is why we went with them. They don't do gimmicks. They don't give away free stuff. They don't make these absurd claims of $10,000 in free silver. Or come here and we'll give you 15. Maybe we'll help. We might even give you $20,000 in free silver. It's not free. Stop it. Go with the company that aligns with your values. That's why we've decided to partner with Genesis Gold Group. They actually want customers to be fully aware of all the options, not just the ones that benefit the seller. And they will educate you all along the way. They're great people. So get your free definitive gold guide to get started and learn more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times. Visit goldwithdrew.com now. You can fill out the basic form there, and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, that's goldwithdrew.com. You can see it on the screen. It's also in the show description, whichever platform you're watching. Okay, So, RFK Jr.
Just when you thought you could like the guy.
I mean, I've never really liked the guy. Again, his voice, it's not his fault. I always say it, and it sounds so shallow. His voice drives me insane. He can't do a damn thing about it. But his policies, he's got some good ones. He's got some ones that are not so far off the mark. And as we always talk about, the main thing is he doesn't hate America, but he's off on abortion. He's off on guns. He's off on a lot of things. Well, he's dead wrong on this one. He wants gas prices jacked up. He wants no reliance on foreign oil, which I can get on board with. But he wants everyone, it's not just we want no reliance on foreign oil. We want people using American oil, which, by the way, we don't have that industry really cranking here anymore, do we? Thanks, Joe. But he wants everyone in electric vehicles, and he's okay with gas prices going to $12, $15, $20 to help kind of force people there. This was him back in 2016. Take a listen.
Amory Levins calculated that the true price of a gallon of gasoline, if the oil companies had to pay the true price, would be about $12 a gallon. So that's what we're paying for oil, but they don't pay it. You and I do. And if they actually were forced to internalize those costs, to pay all the healthcare costs and the crop damage and the acid rain damage and all that other, and the pollution costs, and that was reflected in the price of oil, then we'd be paying $12 at the pump, and we'd be sending the correct signals to the marketplace. And the market would be saying, we need an alternative to a gasoline car, because every American would say, well, it costs about 0.3 cents a mile to drive an electric car, and it costs about $4 a mile once you get, to buy a gasoline car, and we'd very quickly transition, and you would incentivize all these people out there who are adding efficiencies to lithium-ion batteries and looking at different battery systems.
So, reminder, that was 2016. I already said that, but just to put it back out there. But his argument, I mean, he's been, since 2003, he's been pushing a lot of the same talking points, policy points on this particular issue. And his argument then and now is always been about achieving energy independence from foreign oil, which, as I said before the clip, I think we all can agree on. I don't want to rely on anyone for anything, whether we're talking geopolitics or something locally here. That's just my particular take on that. But he's really saying, with all of those words he just said there and all he's been saying in recent weeks and months here on the campaign trail, he's really saying that he wants to get us off oil altogether. And to that, I say a massive hell no, that's not happening.
No, it's not happening. And everybody knows that you'll overload the power grid. Now, if we're talking about having electric cars and having free electricity for the masses based on Nikola Tesla's ideas and his patents that have been seized by the government, then we're starting to, go in a direction that I can get on board with when it comes to electric cars. But obviously we're not going in that direction, because energy limits limits a human being's ability to produce, to move, to be able to be free. And that's what the left is all about, is reducing those freedoms under the guise of the environment. And that's what RFK Jr. is saying right now. I do think he's a true believer when it comes to climate. He totally is.
No, he's all in. I mean, he's a principled guy. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and he's done really good work with like the river keepers and that sort of thing. But seeing climate change as an existential threat, I'm not on board with that, and I think a lot of people aren't on board either. But a lot of people on the left, that's become their religion. Right. And like I said, you cannot say that we're going to take away oil to power everything that we do and rely on electricity. The grid just isn't there. And what you're going to do is limit people's freedoms to be able to move around.
Well, yeah, we talk about that a lot. I mean, that's true. It is. There's a sinister play at hand with electric vehicles. It's not to save the environment. It's not to fight climate change. It's not to do any of those things. that is the bigger story for sure. But and you said all these things as well. But the issue is, okay, you guys are all pushing for this. Everyone wants everyone off of fossil fuel vehicles, and there's no more gas cars. We're not set. First of all, it takes fossil fuels to accomplish all that they want to accomplish in terms of that industry, the mechanics behind it. But the infrastructure is not in place. I was about to say forget the control aspect that they want to have. Don't forget that. That's the most important part. But table it for right now. We can't do this as we are set up in this country today.
And especially if you're going to be totally against nuclear energy. Okay, I get that, if that's your stance. But then what are you going to do to produce electricity? Cold fusion is nowhere near where it needs to be to take over from coal-fired plants. Yeah. So you want us to go back to the 1800s, which I really wouldn't mind, other than the sanitation aspect of it. It would be kind of cool to have a horse and be able to ride a horse around. But
dysentery sucked back then.
Yeah.
I mean, leeches and bloodletting, all very bad. But then again, considering some of the things that we're going through now, in the medical field, they may have been onto something. but this goes back to the whole control thing. When people like us speak out against, we can't totally get off oil and get onto the whole electric car and electric transportation system and this and that because we don't have the grid for it. It's always, oh, you're anti-science, you're anti-this, you're anti-that. And it's not, we're not anti-everything. We're just taking a step back and saying, all right, let's look at the ramifications of this. Let's look at it let's have a third eye perspective about how the government could possibly misuse this. We're watching the Fauci hearing right now, and everything that we were saying, masks are stupid, they don't work. Mm-hmm. Forcing people to get an experimental vaccine is stupid. And we're finding out that the vaccine didn't work.
Right.
And all it does is give the government more power. Dude, we still take off our shoes at the airport.
Yeah.
What has gotten better with TSA since the government took over? Nothing.
No, not a damn thing. And they've gotten their fingers into so many more things. It's not just airport security. It's not just, literally. Name something that they're not in right now. You can find some stuff, but you get the point. They've got their meddling in everything, and it's absolutely ridiculous. By the way, Barb forgot about your haircut, and she thinks you look great.
Oh, thank you, Barb. I appreciate that.
Just passing that goodwill along to you. But no, this is an interesting story. We're going to move on from it for now. But I hope that people see what we always talk about when it comes to freedoms and control as it pertains to electric vehicles. If you want an electric vehicle and you like that it's quieter and you like whatever you like about it, fine, you do you. But don't do it because the government told you it's going to save something or someone and it's better for you and your future, because that's just not true.
Well, California wants to integrate stuff to where if you have an electric car, you plug it in, and when you're not driving it, you leave it plugged in. So if they need the power back, they can drain it from your car. It's like, no. If I paid, then the electricity should be free.
To control.
Yeah.
It also goes back to, we've noticed that you've been driving a lot, David. So guess what? We're turning it off.
Yeah.
I do drive a lot.
You are. I'm
a driver.
A driver for sure. But no, that's hey, we've got a crunch here, or we're behind here, or it comes down to something of your social credit score, whatever. Yeah, your quota's been reached for the month, so you can't go to the grocery store. We'll send someone from DoorDash in an electric vehicle to bring you your groceries. Only the groceries we approve of course.
Even if the electricity was free, it would still be, no, don't take it back from, this is my choice. It's my life.
Yeah.
But no, they still have to. Yeah, it is. It's
wow.
Such a great song.
It is. All right, let's move on. So, Trump attorney Elena Haba is Gorgeous.
Haba haba.
Love you. Love you. I don't know if she's a good attorney or not, but she's a beautiful
Does it
woman.
matter?
She's a beautiful woman. And let's be honest, no attorneys are really great people, or, I mean, some of them are maybe good at their jobs. They're good at taking all of her money. But she talked about this week, this is not new news, but she said that were Trump to go to jail, which, make no mistake about it, is the intention of the left and of this judicial system, were he to go to jail, the campaign would continue. Something Trump said, other people in the administration, or the campaign, have said. I'm not really surprised by this. I hope that that's not the case for our country, where you've got to have an outlaw candidate running his campaign from jail.
We already have an outlaw candidate.
Well, we do, but I mean, you get the point. Like, I mean, that's what they want. What's going to be interesting? So here's the thing. I think when it comes to Trump and everything that's going on with these bogus, totally weaponized, absurd litigations and trials that are happening now, they obviously want to smear him. They wanted to get to the point where they can call him a felon. I think that right now, and we're seeing this with fundraising, we're seeing this with everything else. Right now, you're seeing his popularity do this, and you're seeing people who maybe were on the fence about voting for him coming over to vote for him, and then some who are like just barely on his side, who see what's going on. They're like, I don't really care. Like, I can see that this is bogus. My question is, we should have made this the question of the day. We didn't. But my question is, no, let's not do it yet. We'll do something else. But we've got something else. If he actually does go to prison or spend some time in lockup, whatever the case might be, they'll label it, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and everyone will label it as such. If that happens, do some of the people who right now are like, I see it as a weaponized bullshit trial, doesn't affect my view or interpretation of him that much. If he's actually behind bars, does that help him? Does he keep going up? Or does he start to lose some people because it feels real to them? I don't know.
I think if the situation, if he's incarcerated, I think that he'll start to lose people. But even more than that, you'll start to see rhinos coming out of the woodwork. Your Mitt Romneys of the world, who came out, in support of, sort of quasi-support of Trump, and saying that, what happened in New York was a miscarriage of justice and so forth. They're going to start to panic because, to me, the play is either Trump gets put behind bars, or he gets on house arrest and won't be able to make the convention. And then you have your rhinos like the Mitt Romneys, the Ronna McDaniels, that whole little core of people, plus the Lincoln Project Republican folks who are actually Democrats, are going to get together for a contested election and try and insert Nikki into it.
I don't see that not happening. I think that and you're not the only person who said that. I think that that's something that absolutely could be a play. It gives them the window to do that, and we know there's a lot of people who don't want him to be in. But man, what a bold! I mean, if most people can see the weaponization of the judicial system now, which you should be able to see, please see that. Even if you're on the left, you're probably not watching the show. But even if you are, please see that. And if you do, you're like, I'm okay with it though, because Orange Man bad. I hate him, which is you need to check yourself on that, because it's going to come back to bite you in the ass at some point. But if that happens, and they don't see through at that point how this is all interwoven and connected to each other, and there's so many people that are willing to do anything and everything to keep him off the ticket, or in this case, out of the White House itself, man. But there will be. There'll be people like, well, I mean, they did what they had to do.
Right, exactly. Is he really going to be president from behind bars or on house arrest? He won't be able to leave the country. We had to do it. We had to do it to save democracy.
Right.
That's going to be the rallying cry for everybody, all of the rhinos.
Well, here's what's sad, though. I mean, let's play that. Let's just, for shits and gigs, let's just play this out real quick. Trump can't go to the convention. July 11th sentencing, he's on house arrest. Let's assume the best for him. He's not actually going to prison or jail, but he's on house arrest. Can't go to the convention. Your scenario gets turned on. Somebody flip that switch. We're gonna make this a contested deal and shove Nikki in or whoever. Probably Nikki though. I mean.
But also, you know what? Let's also add this to the scenario for the convention in Milwaukee. We also have, that happens, right? And so we have all these rumblings. You got to support Trump. You got to come to the convention. We have to make our voices heard. And they walk into the same January 6th trap where people show up in Milwaukee,
right,
and all of a sudden it turns violent. And then the rhinos are like, look at Trump's people. We have to save democracy. The trap worked once. I could see the trap working again because, after January 6th, you had people pissed off about the results of the election. So instead of staying at home and burning down the city or whatever, they decided to go right exactly to the people they thought were responsible for the bogus election to make their voices heard. And what happened? They walked right into a trap. You had feds infiltrate the crowd. You had other feds who were not feds, but assets of feds on the other side of the barriers, filming the reverse angle of the group coming up to the Capitol. And then you had provocateurs in there who were causing all kinds of, havoc. And then Michael Fanone, he's
the gay Capitol Hill cop?
Yes, with the neck tattoo.
Yeah.
Not even on duty that day. Carries his riot gear with him in a covert way, gets up there, puts it on, identifies himself as Capitol Police as soon as the cameras are on him to make it look like, he's taking a beating. It's all...
Yeah. It's all ridiculous. I remember now, I was starting to say something and then totally had like a Joe Biden stroke and forgot what I was going to talk about. What I was going to say, though, is that whole scenario that you outlined happens. Let's be honest with ourselves. And it's probably the lesser of two evils, but still an awful outcome and awful for our country and what comes from it. I don't know. But if they did that, if they go contested convention, put Nikki Haley in, Joe Biden loses that election.
Right.
I think that she would actually beat him because she's not, she doesn't come with the baggage that Trump does in the eyes of some voters. Again, I'm not saying that's good. That's not good. And how they would enact such a play to get it to that point is downright devious. But I do think if you have an election in this fantasy scenario, it's really not that fantasy, but in this fictitious scenario, you have Nikki Haley versus Joe Biden. I think that with as frustrated as people are with Biden, if it wasn't Trump, she'd probably actually stand a decent chance.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can see that.
Again, not encouraging it, not saying I want it. I know people are over Joe. I mean, even people on the left, there's plenty of people on the left who have some regret. Thank God.
Right.
What I think is interesting is earlier this morning was doing some stuff. We're trying to figure out how we can, find better ways to get the show out there and everything. Well, there was one thing where I just started tinkering with AI, and it said that Nikki Haley's going to be vice president. That's what AI is saying.
Yeah, but
and I was like,
there's some things, I always say this, there's some things, most of it terrifies me.
Yeah.
And is very concerning. There's some things that are helpful for research and whatnot for not just the stuff here, but actually I rarely use it for here, but for some of the other stuff in digital media that we do. But then you get, some of the mistakes they make are like hilariously off the mark. Like if you have to watch it if you're out there, young bucks, and you're using it for whatever. Be careful because it will trick you because it'll give some data and it's like these stats are correct.
And then the next sentence is
made up bullshit. Like that person's not even real. Like and then Johnny Appleseed said, like
No, even like last night, I was just playing around with it. Like, oh, let me just see. Let's have it break down what Trump did at UFC 302. Like, just to, like what happened. It talked about how he started a TikTok account and all this stuff, and someone endorsed him. And then it said Trump entered the ring and fought for 4 rounds. I'm like, wait, no, like it was going really good, and then just far south from right there. It's but like I said, I saw something and it said Nikki Haley's going to be vice president. That's like, oh,
going back to the contested election, and trying to put Nikki Haley in there. The other move that they could possibly do to sweeten the pot is say, all right, we want Nikki to be our candidate, and we also want Ron DeSantis to be the VP. So then you start getting people to go, oh, well, yeah, he is behind bars, and, the chaos will stop now, and I can live with that. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is the fact that if that happens and Nikki Haley pardons Trump and, or gets the governor of Hochul, which I'm 100% sure that they would do if he didn't run, is to pardon him, the ruling class still wins.
Oh, yeah.
That's the bottom line to all of this. Trump is the only person who's running, who has run in my lifetime. I could probably put Reagan in there too, that doesn't represent permanent Washington and the elite ruling class of the United States.
Yeah. Well, no, they will. It always comes out as though they always win. And then it always comes out as, see, we did the right thing here.
We saved democracy.
We saved democracy.
We did it.
Which we're not a democracy. I mean, stop it. But yeah, I mean, it always goes that way.
What did AO say? It's democratic to vote. Remember how she kept saying that over and over again?
She can't spell vote. The girl can't spell vote. Let's keep talking about Joe, but let's do this, because last week, I think it was last week, he didn't tweet out. One of his interns tweets out, "No one is above the law."
Nobody
on the screen, which is absolutely remarkable that he said that, as he's the most corrupt president in the history of mankind. But he says this as now this week, one, just look at Joe Biden himself. You've got Joe Biden, who has done all that he's done and is on the books. And it's not just the corrupt other stuff. It's putting things in Tara Reade. It's all sorts of stuff. It's stuff with his children. But this week, his drug-addled son, Hunter, the trial begins. You got jury selection going on, all of this stuff. And he's tweeting out last week, no one's above the law. I think it's a horrible look because obviously, again, he is clearly above the law. Anyone on his side is above the law. But then you've got this trial starting for his son. He, as we all know, we talked about it ad nauseum last year, pled not guilty to charges of making false statements when he made this purchase for a firearm. I forget the month that he did it, and then had possession of a firearm while using controlled substances. And we know this isn't going to happen. Combined, the charges could result in up to 25 years in prison, with each count carrying a maximum fine of $250,000 and 3 years of supervised release. But that's not going to happen. But you've got his statement going on as the trial begins. Jury selection happening. You've got Judge, I forget, Mary Ellen, Noriega. It's definitely not Noriega. But you've got her who's going to oversee it. She's the one who questioned. Remember when they did the plea deal?
Yeah, and she's going, wait. What is in this?
She's like, this. So basically what this says right here is that he's immune from any other crime now ever. And in perpetuity. I can't sign
I forgot about that, yeah.
I mean, look, A for effort. Good job trying, Hunter Biden's legal team. Let's try and not just get cleared from this. Let's try and get cleared from every charge ever. That would be quite the deal. But she's overseeing all of this. The problem is, though, she made a common sense decision there. Kudos, Judge. But you've got the jury being selected. You've got the messaging in the mainstream media being put out there. His childhood babysitter showed up to show support for him this week. Here was Jill showing up. You can take a look at this clip. I think it's just kind of some B-roll. But
Yeah, I'll mute it just in case you keep talking.
okay, so here she is showing up, which is all just, of course, for show. But
She looks just like Alice Cooper with blonde hair.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I hadn't thought of that before.
I think
But I think that's actually pretty spot on.
No, but I think we've had a meme come through. Someone sent it to us where
You're
it was
right.
Alice
You're
Cooper
right.
and her and everything. So
By the way, I forget who said it. I think it was. I forget who said it. I saw someone earlier say they can't wait for Meme-tastic. It's not today. It's Thursday. But I mean, you should have that feeling because, as we said yesterday, there's a lot of freaking memes.
Oh, there's such good ones out there right now.
The meme game is strong.
I literally have to go back far on my phone because I've saved them all just to make sure we get them all. Cause
Well, and we'll cut some out that
Yeah.
are a little less relevant because there's stuff that happened. I feel like when we first, we came back and then a week or two later went on break because of all the stuff that was happening. I feel like going into that week, I had a really good slate of them.
Yeah.
And then it's just built. Let's not forget that Joe Biden paid Haley Biden a visit to offer support. Let's finger parents support, shall we? For the upcoming 9th anniversary of Bo's death. Which, I mean, here's just a side question, and this goes for you guys in the
this is a
audience,
second
too.
or a third question of the day, unofficial.
Does anyone really celebrate odd number anniversaries like, it's the 9th? I mean, I get it. It's your wedding anniversary. You celebrate that every year. But of like a big event, and that event could be something as dumb as graduating high school to college to an anniversary of this, that, or that. But do you really I get it. It's our first, it's our 5th, it's our 10th, it's our silver, it's our gold anniversary. It's the 9th anniversary.
Yeah, no, nobody does. Nobody on the face of the earth does.
I mean, I'm sure there's some on the
Well,
face of
sure, if you believe in the powers of 3, 6, and 9, and going down that road, but I won't.
I mean, it's it's a child's death. I mean, we've lost a child every year. We don't make a big deal out of it, but we remember her on her birthday and on the day that she passed away. So I think it just happens that it was the 9th. I don't think it was a significant, unless they said it was a significant thing. But
Well, they're talking about it. They're wanting press.
Yeah, but Disco, your case is a lot different.
Yeah.
Than
No, I know.
we're talking about an adult man,
Right.
who passes away.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm just still saying it's a child, it's a family member.
Right.
But yeah, I'm saying, but if they were like, it's the 9th, it's the big 9, I don't know if they did that. I don't remember. But
No, they didn't say it that
Yeah.
way. Obviously, losing a child is one
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Now, I don't know if Joe actually remembers Bo. He certainly doesn't remember how he died.
no, because he thinks he died overseas.
Yeah. But, anyways, look. This whole thing is going nowhere. It's going nowhere fast. We know that.
That seems like a bit of witness tampering,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Well, I mean, speaking of witness tampering, let's just to button up this thing. You've got the jury being selected, which I keep alluding to. 6 people directly impacted by drug addiction selected.
Perfect.
1 who was a volunteer and donor for Hillary Clinton back in 2008. Also was referenced, which I'm sure is the case for most of them that watched CNN and MSNBC.
And you have the first lady in there watching jury selection.
Yes. Yeah. And you've got Jill.
No, not him.
Freaking. Yeah. One's a former Secret Service employee whose husband still works for the Secret Service. I mean, it's just the whole thing is a shit show. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's frustrating. It's almost frustrating that they cover it on the news.
Yeah.
Because, some people are like, oh, this is great. See, the Biden name's going to be tarnished. Do you know how many times the Biden name has been tarnished and should have been tarnished to the point of being unrecoverable?
And they don't care.
But this is show trial part 2. Under this guise that we still have a judicial system, we just saw in the Trump trial that it doesn't exist because you can get people, you could manipulate the system the way you want when you're a communist-leaning government at this point. And we're seeing the same thing play out in Delaware when the judicial system doesn't work once you get to a certain level and who you're dealing with.
Right.
Because it's show trial number 2.
Yeah. It is. It is. It's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? Getting your ass kicked by a bunch of very angry women on the floor, day in, day out, if you're Caitlin Clark. She's enemy number 1 to all the veterans in the WNBA. And I know this is the second, I mean, we're breaking records here.
Second day in a row.
Second day in a row we've talked about the WNBA here. But let's go back to it for a second, because the Caitlin Clark saga just got that much more interesting on a lot of fronts. A lot of fronts. Because you've got Kennedy. Well, first of all, let's start with Kennedy. So Kennedy's the one who gave the hip check. You know?
And even you saw her say, "You bitch."
Yeah, said you bitch. And then afterwards, like, I ain't talking Caitlin Clark.
How do you get a K out of a CH?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we need to talk to her mother.
I honestly remember I was like, "You mean Kennedy?" Like off air yesterday. You're like, "No, Kennedy." I was like, "Oh, okay." like,
no, I had to write it in my notes for yesterday, like phonetically afterwards, like, say Kennedy. It's not Kennedy.
But this goes back to this whole. I mean, this is all part of defining male and female. You know, now there's all these genders or whatever, and now it's okay. Well, this is the way we've been saying this for hundreds of years now. But you know what? It doesn't mean that anymore.
Right.
You know, it's all part of that, forcing people to believe lies. And I'm sorry, Kennedy, but you're forcing us to you're forcing us to believe something that isn't true. Your name is not pronounced that way just because you want it to be.
Right. No, I agree.
Or the way her parents wanted it to be, not necessarily her.
I mean, she's gone with it. But there's a lot of people at fault here.
Yeah.
But she came out and she said today, I believe it was. Yesterday?
I saw it this morning on ESPN.
So it might have been yesterday that, she got hit in the head and didn't really know what she was doing. Just kind of making up an excuse for how she did the very clearly volatile, with words attached, aggressive maneuver. Again, sports are aggressive. I actually don't have a massive problem with what happened. The problems start in the aftermath. And a little bit of the why, but the whole I don't remember. I had gotten hit in the head. I don't remember. That's like a person getting arrested. I don't know how these drugs got in my pocket.
These aren't my pants.
These aren't my pants.
But since last night to today as well, I don't know if we have it in the notes. I haven't seen it, but it got raised to a technical.
Yeah, it did.
Or flake, whatever. Yeah.
Big whoop.
Yeah. So isn't there a fine with that though?
I'm sure there is, which is lofty for a WNBA player because they get paid jack shit.
Kennedy's responses are like watching the show The First 48 when the suspect is in the interrogation room. It's like, just stop talking.
Right.
It's always the ones who talk who end up getting arrested. And the ones who lawyer up, it's like, at the end of the show, it's like, still waiting to, adjudication on, this case, blah, blah, blah. But she keeps going. She's talking the more she talks, the more of an admission of, it was flagrant and malicious intent.
Well, you can see, I mean, you can hear, well, you can't hear, but you can see her mouthing the words. But you can, I mean, look, this is basic just human interactions and psychology. You can see the hate in her eyes where she does it.
Yeah.
Like it was very deliberate.
No, even the throwing the hip. I mean, it was, I'm gonna do this because I'm pissed.
Yeah.
But
it's like that soccer girl that yanked the other one's ponytail.
Yes. Yeah. To me, there'd be more respect for Kennedy if she was like, yeah, I was pissed.
I love that we've gone to like everyone's like, it's Kennedy. No. This is my show. We changed it to Kennedy.
But I would have.
We didn't change it. Parents did.
Yeah. We're following basic English.
We're following the phonetic alphabet. Okay,
but
continue.
I think everyone would have more respect for her if she was like, yeah, I was mad. I lashed out. And
100%. If she would have been like, I hate that bitch.
Yeah.
She deserved everything that was coming to her. Like, that's great.
But to be like, I'm not talking about it.
Yeah.
discussion over.
And
Thank
now
you.
I've apparently forgotten that I even really did it, or why I did it, or how I did it, or whatever. Well, her teammate, so Angel Reese, who was a stud at LSU. Props to Angel Reese. She's a good player. We'll share a couple stats on her in a second. But she's always been, I mean, she's very flamboyant, over the top, kind of aggressive. So her and Chennedy fit along beautifully with each other. And she was the one who, her and Caitlin had a rivalry in college because they were both studs at the collegiate level. And LSU is a great basketball program. Iowa has been a great basketball program as well. But they were rivals. So after Chennedy does this, she goes over to the bench. Angel Reese is there to greet her, celebrate what just happened, because that's just how Angel Reese rolls. Well, she spoke out and was kind of complaining about all of this. Take a listen, then we'll discuss.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that.
All right, so she's right on a lot of fronts. Let's give her some credit where credit's due.
Drew, are you now making your name?
I've actually just become a women's NBA basketball player. No, I mean, she's right. We're talking about it. Never talked about it before. I'm watching it, as we discussed yesterday. Never watched it before. I forgot that this is coming up next. But there's a lot of that, and she's right that a lot of people are talking about women's basketball across the board in general. And then she goes on to the end, and you can tell there's a lot of anger and jealousy, perhaps, with Caitlin Clark, because obviously Caitlin is the angel in the darling. She's not an angel necessarily, but she's a darling in the eyes of many. But it's not going to be in 20 years. It's not going to be because of one person. Well, hold on. You're talking about people rolling up in cars, celebrities, all this stuff. We talked about yesterday. They do the whole walking up with the bag shot, in the pregame and all of this stuff. No one gave two shits about any of you before this. So it really kind of is one person. Now, that's not to say, Angel Reese, you're not super talented. She is. She's a stud. It's not to say a lot of these people aren't really talented, but no one knew before. We just mocked the league and we're like, yep, the NBA takes care of them, and no one gives a shit about them. And you didn't see how talented they all were. But someone or something does get credit for opening up the aperture and saying, oh, you know what, we'd heard about this one team name and we got it wrong still because no one cared. But now we've learned about this league and this people, and oh my gosh, there's some women in here who are studs, and they deserve to be celebrated. But someone or something, someone in this case, brought the attention. So you should be thanking Caitlin Clark. She can be your sports enemy,
Right,
and your rival, but hey, man, you made everyone else acknowledge us. And that's not the role that Caitlin signed up for, but that's the role that humans in the sports world put on her shoulders. And I think she's handling it pretty damn well. But this whole argument, if it's not one person who did this, we're all good. Yes, you're all good. No one knew that you were good until this one person showed up.
There is no attention on the NBA, the WNBA, if Caitlin Clark isn't in the league. If Caitlin Clark would have taken Ice Cube's offer and gone to the Big Three, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. We'd be talking about the upcoming Big Three season.
Right.
And how they've, changed the rules and how that they have females on the team now and, the half-court game. Caitlin Clark, the bottom line is Caitlin Clark puts people in seats. Angel Reese does not put people in seats. There's going to be some people. She doesn't put as many people in seats as Caitlin Clark does, and that's because of the position that she has on the floor. She's not as exciting of a player. When you're knocking down threes from almost half court, people are going to be interested to come and watch you play. They don't want it. They don't necessarily care about rebounding or boxing out, on a free throw.
Right.
That doesn't put people in seats.
Yeah.
Well, and that was going to be my question to you guys. Like, do we know if Angel or Kennedy or anyone who was bringing attention to the WNBA before this, but they weren't really. It was you probably saw more fail videos out there. Like here's 30 seconds of the WNBA and everyone just hitting bricks or airball. You never saw like good plays going on. And Caitlin Clark. My dad started watching the women's NCAA March Madness because of everything that she was doing. Yeah. It was like I was watching. We were all watching it because it's like, man, she's breaking records. She's an amazing player. Why are you upset that she's now helping you get more in the limelight?
That's the dumbest thing ever.
I would be pissed if I were the Connecticut Suns and I'm 8-0 and all the attention are on two people who are playing for a 3-4 team, which is the Sky, and a 2-9 team.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of this has got to really piss her off too, because Caitlin had so much success at the collegiate level, dominated individually, but Iowa in the mix every year while she was there. And then you get drafted #1 and you're playing professionally and your childhood dreams are achieved. And then, like is often the case with #1 picks, you go to a team who sucks ass and you've gone from winning everything they just literally got their second win on Saturday, this past Saturday, against where this whole thing happened with Kennedy and Angel and all of them. But man, that's got to be frustrating. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you're the Connecticut Sun, the teams who are
we're undefeated.
Hey. But
I know. Does anybody know DeWanna Bonner? No. She's leading the Connecticut Suns, who are undefeated in scoring, and nobody has a clue who she is.
I feel bad. Here's the thing. Here's what I learned this year. I learned, like the rest of us, and we all kind of learned about Caitlin Clark last year.
Yeah.
But she's amazing. Knew no players in the WNBA. Still really don't. I've watched several games. I just don't know their rosters like I know of football, baseball, hockey, or even to a lesser extent men's basketball roster. But didn't know them. But I did know who Angel Reese was from watching all the March Madness stuff. And you started to. I can't think of her name now, but there's a chick on Nebraska. Holy shit, that girl's good. She was awesome. Blonde-haired girl. If you're watching right now, you're awesome. They took Iowa to the limit. They beat them the one time, I think, but it was great games. Anyways, but no one knows. No one knows. You could say a name that even sounds familiar. I don't know. I think that's going to change. But you know why it's going to change, Angel Reese? It's not because all of you are talented. You're playing professional basketball. It's because there's a just swell of excitement and energy around your sport and your league right now. And if you're not careful, there's this new 3-on-3 league that's going to come out in 2025, January of this next year, I believe it is. And if you're not careful, the good ones are going to leave. If you lose Caitlin Clark, you know what happens to the WNBA? It's doing this, and then it goes right back to obscurity.
Flying commercial again.
Well, I'm also interested in to see if because we know the Summer Olympics are coming up, but I don't think Caitlin Clark. I guess she could have made the USA team, even being in college. She could have, right? Yeah, she could have.
I don't know how they do the women's. Olympic.
But I'm just saying. But could you imagine if Kennedy, Angel, and Clark are all on the USA team and they have to play together? Are they going to still butt heads, or are they going to play like a team? You would hope it would be that.
I don't think Kennedy would make the USA team. Angel Reese probably would. But
I'm just saying, like,
she'd have a shot.
Unless Caitlin Clark has enough juice to pull a Michael Jordan and keep Isaiah off
the team. Yeah. Well, but that's the thing, man, and that's the reference with the Chicago Sky now. Let's tamp down the real comparisons here. But the thought is, hey, man, let's make this the Detroit Pistons of old.
Yeah.
Let's make the Chicago Sky the villains. They're the heels.
The bad girls.
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of seems like she said today, like, I'm happy to be the villain. It's like, well, you act kind of like a villain.
Yeah.
You're a baller, but you act like a villain. So, but that's good for sports. That's good for TV. You're a TV producer. You want that.
Yeah, you need that conflict. You want to tell good stories through athletic competition, you need to have that outside conflict.
Yeah.
You need the baddies, the baby faces and the heels.
Yeah.
I saw an old interview with Kobe, and he talked about how one year when he was playing in the Olympics, one of his teammates from the Lakers, was playing for a different country. I can't remember who it was, but they were in the huddle, and they're like, "Hey, that's your team over there." He's like, "Cool, F him. He's not playing on my team right now." He said, "What?" And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Watch this." First play, they come out and Kobe just like hip checks him, throws him to the ground, and then just walks away back to the bench. He takes the foul, and they're like, "What?" He goes, "We're here to represent America." Like, I don't care that we're teammates last week. Right now, we're not. And he said the players looked at him like, "Oh, this is different." And he's like, "No, this is how I always am. Because if you're not on my team, I don't care. You're not on my team." Right. So
yeah,
it was just incredible to kind of see him do that to his own teammate that he gets paid to play with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, moving on. Well, actually, side point, Kyrie Irving. There was a cool interview. If you watch any of the sports channels, you've probably seen. He was talking about obviously his team, the Mavericks, going into the finals that start Thursday against the Celtics. But he was talking about how much of an impact Kobe had on him, and it just reminded me how much I love the greats. I'd gone away from the NBA for a long time. The Timberwolves brought me back into the playoffs this year, and I was ashamed of myself at first, and then I just leaned into it and don't care anymore. But
for watching basketball?
Yeah, for watching the NBA, because they've got a lot of issues. There's no two ways about it.
When the Lakers, I'm sorry to interrupt, but when the Lakers were eliminated, it was like a weight had lifted off my shoulder, so I didn't have to see Lee Dickweed's stupid face.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. No, it was, but Kyrie, who's very much on our side on a lot of issues, certainly he gave up $100 million to refuse the vaccine. So people who are like, "Stop talking about the NBA right now." Well, hold on. The guy I'm talking about, is your people. Like, you'd love him. And he just knocked my team out. So I'm a little pissed at him, but he's gotten really smart. But anyways, he was talking about Kobe and just the impact he had and just how he was different and taught leadership and taught all of these things. And you can talk about some of the off-the-court stuff with Kobe and whether it's true or not true, don't know. But in terms of sports, when you see the douchebags like LeBron today, and then they compare them to MJ, which is obviously the most ridiculous thing ever. There's MJ and then there's everyone else. But then they compare them to Kobe and some of these other people. It's like, stop it. You got to have the complete package. But let's move on. Question of the day. Let's do question of the day, shall we? We're going back to the Biden case. And I think I know the answer for everyone, but let's just do it anyways because it's Tuesday. And I don't know what that has to do with anything, but that's how I'm setting it up. Hunter's trial on the gun charges is getting underway here. The question is this: do you think Hunter will be found guilty? Do you think there's any, let's say it this way, do you think there's any chance in hell that Hunter Biden is found guilty? Because remember, Joe said last week, no one's above the law.
No one.
Not even his drug-addled son. I'll repeat, do you think Hunter Biden will be found guilty? Send your responses in. We'll talk about it here in a second. As we do that, guys, please understand something. Please understand that our food supply is under attack, and it's not getting any better, and it's not getting better anytime soon. That's for darn sure. Beef, which we all love. If you don't love beef, you're probably not listening or watching this show, is the primary target too. All right? They're not going after your tofu, and if you have tofu, please do leave the show in the chat room. Unless, well, you can stay. That's fine. But beef's the primary target with everything from climate change to the damn bird flu being wielded against cattle. It behooves all of you. It behooves all of us as Americans to stock up on long-term storage beef, and we have the solution with our partners, preparewithbeef.com. The veteran-owned company that sells premium steaks with a 25-year shelf life. They've got ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin. They don't sell the beef crumbles or the beef chunks or any of that bogus fake crap that other survival food companies sell. At preparewithbeef.com, my listeners can take 25% off with promo code RVM. Stock up now before cricket burgers become a thing, and go to preparewithbeef.com. You can do it there. Again, it's promo code RVM. That saves you 25%. As I said yesterday, and I'll say it again, when it comes to these meal ready to eats, these MREs, some of them are straight up nasty, y'all. They're straight up nasty. I've tried this. It's literally sous vide beef that they've come up with a process where the shelf life lasts. It's freeze dried, and then you just, I can't think of the damn word again. Like you integrate.
Integrate?
You bring it back to life and you put it in your mouth. That's the
Reactivate.
That's the branding that they were like, make sure you say bring it back to life and put it in your mouth.
Is it reactivate? Is that what it is?
I don't think it is. I can't think of it. It's an R word. It's an R word. Okay, let's get back.
They must be really proud of this read right now.
This will be our last day doing the read. Last day with the company. Do you think Hunter Biden will be found guilty? That was the question of the day. Not a chance, says Barb. Hell no, hell no, hell no, says Colty86. Ginger, no way. And then we got a shaky.
No, it was no way.
Animal.
Is that like an otter?
I can't tell what it is. Ginger, what the hell is that?
We'll know in 90 seconds.
We'll know in 90 seconds. Nothing will happen to Hunter. No, says Carol. No, says Jill. No, says Judy. Gosh, it's so good to see all you guys again. So good to see all you guys again.
Foster's got a
Call
interesting.
for life. Will Robert Hunter's laptop be admissible as evidence? The proof is in the pudding. TBD. There's a lot of things that have been cut out. I don't remember if the laptop is. I know the texts are in.
The laptop is in.
The laptop is in.
Yes.
The proof is in the pudding. So, but the proof's also in the pudding that our judicial system has gone to hell and is not fair or unbiased or objective in any way. So,
Well, if the judge decides to change anything, just like he did on Trump, where it's like, if you think that he was thinking about not doing these things, then he's probably not guilty.
yes, whatever that means. Guilty but immediate pardon. Okay, that's an interesting one, Foster. No, says Tex. Put your tofu in the trash to prepare it, says Ginger. Did we get an answer from Ginger on what that animal is? Let's keep tabs on that, Disco. This is important.
Okay, gotcha.
Reconstituted. I think that.
Reanimated.
Rehydrate?
Those are close, but I feel like there's another one. I don't know. I'll talk to my partners over there and we'll figure it out. So let's talk about Joe Biden again here for a second. He's pretending to care about the border, sort of, because the election's barreling down upon us. So they have to pretend that they're doing things.
Did you want our answers on the?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's actually funny. You skipped my answer yesterday too. You did you two, and then you just kept
We
going.
haven't done the show in like 3 months, and then we got going. Tom, please do tell me your answer.
My answer on the Hunter Biden case. So
I didn't give mine either.
No, you haven't.
I'm going to put on my producer hat.
Okay.
And if I'm producing a show trial.
Where's your cigar? There we go.
And we got a show trial to produce, and I'm going to need Hunter Biden on the stand. And I'm going to go with a guilty verdict, but it's going to be a suspended sentence. So we have all the illusion that the system is totally on board and totally right down the middle. But then again, I'm going to go with Foster and say, you know what? You get a pardon. A get out of jail free card, Hunter Biden. That's my 1940s producer.
Yeah, I like that. I wish we knew that was coming. We could have done some thematic music.
And then made his microphone sound like an old microphone. It would have been great. Yeah.
They're doing this thing right now. We'll talk about it at a certain point as we kind of ease all of us and you guys into doing more sports and entertainment. But they're doing this thing right now for Bray Wyatt's old group in WWE, teasing the return of basically his brother and all this, the Firefly Funhouse. But they use all this old school, like 40s and 50s music for it.
Yes.
And I love it. I love that
it's
music.
the best.
It's such good music. Sorry.
No, you're good.
And we have Disco with his prediction.
No, I kind of the whole guilty, but he'll get a pardon. I have a feeling like that's probably what it's going to be. But I feel like there's going to be another thing that comes in where they're going to say, "Can you just not make him feel bad?" Like, the whole he can be recused. Everything's fine. They're going to say something, and I hope the judge is like, "Nope."
they're going to dwell on his substance issues, which is total BS because, yeah, he is a junkie. And I've got a lot of sympathy for people who have chemical addictions. But the bottom line with him, he's different than everybody else that has those kinds of addictions.
Yeah.
Because while he was doing all these escapades that he was doing with the gun and falsifying everything, he made over $2 million that year. I don't know anybody who's had substance abuse problems that was making over $2 million.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a small few if it is, and in his case too, he's doing it on a lot of just nefarious deals, taxpayer dollars in some cases. I mean, absolutely next level. Here's my problem with the pardon answer. I love Foster. I love you guys. I just think that if they go that route, then it looks, because you got to remember, with any conversation we're having, we could be talking about a soup recipe or Hunter Biden's trial. Americans as a whole are dumb. Okay, we got some dumb motherfuckers out there. So if you do it that way, it's a very obvious politicized thing. He's guilty, which they do because they're trying to show it's fair and equitable, but then you go in
and then Daddy comes out.
And Daddy comes out and he puts on his daddy pants.
I should have just said the big guy. That's what I should have said.
Hey, you got me going. And then Daddy, and then he pardons them, and that's that. I mean, that's so overt. And if I'm Dad and I'm sitting in the Oval Office, I'm probably doing the same thing. But that's real overt. Whereas at this point, they don't care. They think everyone in America is stupid. A lot of them are. So to just say, yeah, he's not guilty, this is all blown out of proportion, he's got some problems, maybe he goes to some more rehabilitation or whatever that teaches you not to snort Parmesan cheese and all the weird shit that he does. Maybe they do that stuff. But I just feel like if they go the pardon route, isn't that so over the top?
But what in the last, let's just say 10 years hasn't been overt.
No.
You know? They've been spitting in our face.
And then, of course, everybody on the left who you're talking about who aren't that smart, who totally believe everything that the government and the media tells them, or as soon as they find out the laptop is going to be admissible into evidence, they're going to see, look, it's rigged. We all know that's Russian disinformation. The trial is rigged. And so even if he is found guilty, if he's found guilty, they'll be like, oh, it's because of the laptop.
Right.
And if he's found not guilty, it'll justify the laptop being introduced because the jury didn't buy the key piece of evidence or whatever, not the key piece, but evidence that would have helped the prosecution because it was Russian disinformation.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think that's how they'll play it. They'll come out on top regardless. They always do. Qual for Life said he's the very definite, Hunter is the very definition of white privilege. That's true. We'll see. Now I can move on. I'm sorry that I skipped you guys' and my own. At least I skipped my own too. It wasn't a personal thing. Now we can move on, but we'll stay with the Biden family because they're, like I was starting to say, pretending to care because it's an election year about the border, an issue that we can't say legitimately created. They exacerbated it. They're standing out there with, gas cans, pouring stuff on it.
No, they created it. He repealed the stay in Mexico.
Well, my point is even under Trump where we had it better, the border's always been a problem.
Yeah.
They just opened the bitch up. Like, everyone come on. We're literally talking upwards of 13 million people that we know of under this administration. So I'm not giving them obviously not giving them a pass. We talk about it all the time, what a huge failure it is. But the floodgates are open, passing free shit out. You get this, you get a pony, you get whatever. But they're coming out now and they're saying, we got this. We're listening to you. They're not. They hate you. And we're going to limit the amount of illegal... the fact that they're even starting a sentence by saying we're going to limit it to something that's not zero should tell you all you need to know. Yeah. But they're going to limit it to 2,500 illegal immigrants a day, which
is way better.
Which is damn near 1 million a year. Is it less than 13 over the last several years? Yes. Is it less than, the 4 million a year or whatever it is. Like, yes, absolutely. But the only solution is zero. Obviously, some people will slip through. If you're that clever and we've got it so shored up and locked up that it's like improbable that someone gets over and 1 or 2 get over or 12 get over, good for you guys. Welcome to America. If you want to attack us. We're probably going to kill you because we've got a shit ton of guns. But that's not what we're talking about here. It's 10 to 13 million, depending on the stats you look at, that have come through in the 3.5 years that he's been in office. And you're talking like, don't worry, we got it. We're going to reduce this bitch to 1 million a year. How's that sound? 4 million over the next 4 years, if I keep it this way, which they won't. This is one of the most cut and dry issues out there.
Yeah.
Either you have a border, you secure, shut down in this case, because it's wide open, but shut down and then secure said border and enforce your laws, or you don't. The numbers do matter. 1 million's less than 4 million a year. But that's not an acceptable solution. That's not okay.
He would never be doing this unless the election wasn't right around the corner.
Period.
The border would be totally open. And what he's doing right now would be like me borrowing your car and totaling it and then coming up to you with the car keys and a little thing of turtle wax and saying, here, man, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right as rain.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He's created a problem that's going to have the ripple effect is going to be with us for years and years and years and decades.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm living in a third world country, let's just say Mauritania, and I decide to come to the United States, and I grew up in a place that was partially made out of some wood, some plywood, some cardboard, in a tin, corrugated roof, with no air conditioning, no heat. Somehow I survived malaria. Somehow I, survived, any other tropical disease that there are. Make it to the United States, and the first thing that I get is a cell phone, right. And the second thing I get is a hotel room at a 4-star hotel in New York. I've never slept in a bed before. I'm going to be calling everybody I know to come to the United States because they're giving away free stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't blame them.
No,
the people coming.
Yeah, no, not at all.
This is what we've always dreamed of. This is like a bright shining star has shown up.
It's the American dream.
Golly.
Yeah, if Mr. Chubby says, "Hey, we're giving away free wings," I'm gonna go.
You damn straight you are. Surprised you haven't done that yet.
There's always tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I've got to run today, so don't try and do it today. But so we've got a couple more stories though before we get out of here, and before I do run, I've got to go to my mother's house for a nice little meal of food. It's going to be delightful.
Oh, I had some books I was going to have you
bring to my mother.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
You can do that on your personal time, Joe. Tom.
Can we just take a break from all the serious stuff for a second? Because even the lightest thing we've done in talking WNBA and Caitlin Clark is still a pretty serious, dramatic thing that's going on there. Not compared to our country failing, granted. But can we just take a break and talk about what's going on here? Because I don't know what it is. I kind of like it.
I'm just going to pop up and not play it so we can just get a little tease here.
So, yeah, here's what's coming. We got a dude in a single piece women's bathing suit. A midget on a cooler doing some drumming.
Hey, that could be from the transgender bathing suit section at Target,
Could be. Yeah, I love that you can
clearly
make out the phallic parts that are underneath there. And then there's another guy to the right. Anyways, let's take a...
You can see the outline of his root.
You 100% can. Yeah,
it's been up on that TV over there for like the last 20 minutes.
I'll point to it real quick. Just so everyone's really clear. I'm going to come back over here in a second, too. But right here, that's not normal in a female bathing suit. I don't care where you get it from. You know, you could be a Cupshe person.
That dude looks exactly like Ari Shaffir, the stand-up comic.
Yeah. Well, let's see what old Ari and his friends do here. I love the one guy's got a fanny pack on. I mean, he's got some decent moves, Ari does.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ari.
I mean, I can't unsee that now.
No, you can't unsee that.
That's
Yeah.
ingrained in the noggin now.
I like Lobster Boy.
On the drums? Yeah. No, I saw that. I stumbled. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
It's
But this is going in the show
an
somehow.
epic street performance in New York.
It is, yeah. And you know the great part is like people like got around there and were eventually like that mustered a crowd at some point.
Yeah.
100% it did. Because we've all seen weird stuff there like, why are we watching this? I don't know, just watch. All right. You just do.
No, there was one time I was in New York on the subway, and this guy came in and he like waited for the. Sometimes you see the street performers; they wait for the doors to close and then they start playing their guitar. This guy got in the middle and zipped himself into a bag where you could just see his head, but I didn't know what he was wearing beforehand because I didn't see what he was doing. And he sits down and he's just like doing something in this bag. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like he trapped himself and now it looks like he's trying to get out. And then he unzips and he's wearing like a tuxedo and he's got flowers and he just starts singing opera, like an opera song. And then he like sees where they're at on the map and then he quickly gets back in the bag and then gets out and he's just wearing like a trench coat and normal clothes. Like interesting. And then he's going like this around to everyone like, you can tip me now. Like I didn't want to see this.
If you turn that video black and white, it looks like a clip from a Werner Herzog film. It's just that's how strange it is and seemingly out of place, but actually in place.
I mean, that's the thing is people are like, I can't. That's like sweet holy Moses. That's my eyes. OMG.
My eyes.
But I mean, here's the thing. We all know this to be true. These people are more normal than we are these days in the eyes of humanity.
Yeah.
God help
those
us all.
three?
Yeah.
They're totally normies.
They're so brave
Yeah.
out there.
And bouncy boobies. Chaos Girl, good to see you. Hey, speaking of, can we just, I don't want to get too inappropriate here, but the Edmonton Oiler booby girl.
Wood.
Tom Wood. Caused quite a stir, and I don't know if it's an old clip or a new one, but now there's, because the Oilers and the Panthers about to clash in the Stanley Cup Finals, which is going to be amazing. It's going to be a great series. But now there's a video circulating. I promise I'm not searching for this stuff.
Sure, yeah.
This just comes up. But there's one of a Panthers chick
Oh, yeah.
Doing the same thing?
doing the same thing.
Well, you know,
Hoping this is a trend for the Stanley Cup.
I think it's at Vegas. Like the first year that they got, they came into the expansion and then they made it to the playoffs. They didn't win. But there was a porn star that sat right behind the away bench. Well, it turned out like the Vikings gave her those tickets to be like distract.
The Vikings.
No, sorry, not the Vikings. The Knights.
Yeah.
I saw the V in my head and said Viking. The Knights gave her those tickets to be like distract the players on the other team, and so she would just wear the lowest cut shirt, and it was and you could tell like ESPN, whoever had it that year, or NBC had it that year, they kept trying to crop her out of the coach shot. They would just like zoom in closer and closer, but it just was just getting closer and closer on her boob.
Nope, this is going the wrong direction. Okay, so from, I don't know how to make this transition. We're going from Brest to Moldova. Help me out here.
Brest to Moldova.
You know what? Don't. Don't. So we all know about the mess that's going on in Ukraine. Our taxpayer dollars funding this dumpster fire of a country, corrupt country, this war that obviously leads to a lot of things. We've talked about, we're not going specifically into that per se right now. But we're getting more and more entangled in the region. Everyone knows about Ukraine. Everyone knows about the money going there. Everyone knows about the rhetoric, whether it's mainstream media, BS from our side or political BS from our side as it pertains to to Putin and Russia. We know all of that stuff, right? We've talked about it so much.
The best, though, is, I'm sorry, is when you hear people on the left say, and especially politicians, we have to protect Ukraine's border to protect our border.
Preach. That'll preach. So ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing ever. Like, anyone who falls for that, like, because there's people like, yeah, that's good. I'm going to take some notes on that.
Yeah.
Like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
I'm about to ratio every conservative I know.
Oh, my gosh. But we're getting more entangled with Moldova. And no one's talking about it because no one talks about Moldova. Some of you, let's be honest, some of you out there are like, what the hell is Drew talking about? It's a country. Moldova's a country.
For the longest time, I thought Moldova was one of those countries on the Three Stooges when they put out the map, and it's like, we'll start here at the Bay of Rum, go to Moronica.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have that exact example, but I mean, it is. It's one of those places where people are like, is that a city? You know what? I think you're making it up. It's not real. It is real. It's right by Romania. We can put a map up here while we kind of talk here. You can see it. It's kind of in red there. Moldova. Find Ukraine, Romania. It's sandwiched in between it. Don't take that sexually.
I'm just going to zoom in so you can see it there.
And then you can see in that, it's not labeled, you can see in that map basically Crimea and some of the parts that are very contested right now. But you've got geographical, geopolitical, I should say, geographical too, but geopolitical and geographical tensions rising in countries like Georgia and Moldova right now. Lots of tension in that whole area. We all know that. You've got people waving European flags, protesters pushing back against their government, being pro-Russia in Georgia. They want to be a part of the European Union there. Then over in Moldova, you've got people pushing as well to join the EU. You've got all this stuff going on. And it's all, some of it predates Ukraine for sure, and then some of it is in lockstep with it. But what people are finding out this week, and this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but what people are finding out this week is that as we are spending a crap ton of money on Ukraine and so many other places, obviously Ukraine being one of the main ones, and we've got so many issues right here at home, our government is spending, we just sent another $135 million, another meaning there is more, I'll tell you about that, to Moldova. $135 million to Moldova. $85 million to enhance their energy infrastructure and $50 million to support the energy and farming sectors and, quote, combat disinformation. Got to get that in there. I'm sure there's a women's studies program in there somewhere too. But this is part of a $774 million financial aid grant or program with Moldova. They've received $774 million since the war with Ukraine started. So we're festering the Ukraine-Russia conflict by leveraging intelligence and whatnot, resources, dumping money, sending equipment, all this stuff. You know all this stuff. It's cost us an exorbitant amount of money. And I say us because it has cost us. It is our taxpayer dollars that are blatantly ignoring our problems here to create problems there because DC gets that big of a war boner. And it just, that's who they are.
Tom really likes it when you say war boner.
He's a big war boner guy. But you've got Blinken there this week.
Right.
Doing conversations with Moldova. And then he's going from there to Prague, which is the world's greatest city. It's not debatable. It's
okay, Drew.
It's the best. I love you guys. I miss you. It's been 21 years since I was there last. Maybe 20.
I think it's been like 3 months since I've heard you say Prague is the best.
It is. I love Prague. If you've been to Prague, you know Prague is an amazing city. But there's a NATO summit in Prague, so Blinken's going from Moldova there. And to be clear, there's no discussion, at least at this point, about either Moldova or Georgia, any of these states joining NATO. There's discussion and hope that some might join the EU at some point. But here's the concern. you have all these alliances and things going on. You have this aid going. And NATO was never supposed to encroach. And I will say, that's not being discussed right now. But NATO, just geographically and geopolitically speaking, was never supposed to get closer and encroach on Russia. And as soon as we said, yes, we won't do that, what did we start doing?
Encroaching.
That's been happening.
37 times.
37 times. Very specific. 37 times.
Tom's been keeping count.
Like the dude in The Great Outdoors who was struck by lightning. But the concern is while there's not a discussion presently about them joining NATO, if you're the Kremlin, you're Putin and his cronies there, who are our enemies, yes. But you look at things through their lens, it's like, okay, you're expanding NATO left and right 37 times, talking about making Ukraine a member at some point, which obviously is a bad thing for a number of reasons. And then you're dumping $774 million into Moldova. What? Mm-hmm. And you're no doubt doing stuff behind the scenes in Georgia and in this country and in that country. My point is, folks, what? We haven't talked about this in a while. Why are we so hell-bent on stirring up what would be a world war? I just don't get it. And you have to be able to see it through Putin's eyes, where it's like, you said you wouldn't do this. We literally signed documents, accords that said you wouldn't do this. You broke it. Now you're sending weapons that have killed Russians. Now you're giving money to Moldova, who is going against us. Now you're doing all these things. If you really don't want war, like some people in D.C. say, oh, no, we don't want war. We're just holding Putin accountable because he'll run straight through Europe if we don't stop him, which is not true. Man, it's just crazy to see. And here we are on a Tuesday talking about Moldova and the fact that most of you didn't know we've spent damn near $1 billion supporting them.
Do you remember who one of the chief architects of the coup in Ukraine in 2014 was?
I can't think of it. If you said his name, I'm sure it would make sense.
She started off as a really hot chick, and now she's just a pudgy, disgusting.
Oh, you're talking about
frump.
Nuland?
Yes.
Yeah.
Victoria Nuland steps down at the beginning of May.
She really did go south.
Yeah. You look at other pictures of her when she was younger, like when she first started the State Department, total smoke show.
Right.
And, well, I've got some theories on what happens to you after certain things that you do to try and prolong your life, but I won't get into that now. But what I'm saying, back to my point, she steps down from the State Department, and I was thinking to myself when I saw this happen, I wonder what she's doing, what she's up to. And all of a sudden, Moldova. I wonder if her pudgy little fingers are in on that one, too. Seems like it would make a little bit of sense.
And
I think that, what you're talking about, where something is going to happen in Moldova. And it's going to happen to the point where it's going to totally screw over all the Moldovians, but just like Ukraine, end up being a cash cow for a lot of people in Washington.
Oh, it's always a cash cow. When there's that much money going, so it doesn't have to be that much money, by the way. It's a cash cow.
Right.
Anytime you see large sums going, it's not like that whole sum went there. Oh, $774 million. Congrats, Moldova. Spend it wisely. They did. It doesn't work that way.
She's there to create chaos, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Is it Moldovans or Moldovians?
Moldovians.
I feel like Moldovians is like a Disney movie or something.
I think it'd be Moldovians.
Let's look it up. And I'm not trying to check you. Yeah. I just don't know. I'm very curious. Moldovans.
Maldives.
Or see, now that I'm typing it, I feel good about Moldovians. Moldovans, sometimes referred to as Moldavians.
So it can go either way.
Moldavians.
Okay. A picture just of some great outfits.
You say Kennedy, I say Chennedy.
By the way, Ginger did confirm it's an otter.
It's an otter. Yes. I saw that. An otter took my glove at the Minnesota with the Rochester Zoo when I was a child.
So you hate otters?
No, I actually like them. They'll come into the lake behind our house every once in a while, and they're adorable to watch. But that one son of a bitch. I reach in. I'm there. It's been an exciting day. I'm probably 8 or 9 years old. We watched a bear push a blue bowling ball with his head out of his room. Like, that's cool.
That was a good little.
Thank you. And then we go to the otter pit, and they're swimming around like, oh, they're cute. Like, oh, I reached in. Some bitch reaches up, pulls my glove in. I got to go home and tell my parents, Andrew, why'd you come home with one glove? Because the otter
stole. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, Drew.
Speaking of, one of my daughters, literally Keeper, who's a really good boy. You guys have seen him. He's a sexy beast. Ate one of their homework projects at the end of the school year this year. Like, it was destroyed.
Literally,
like, well,
dog ate my homework,
you can actually use this excuse in this case. And whatever, we don't care about standardized testing and grades, so you're good. Don't worry about it. Okay, we're going to cover one last thing before we get out of here. We got a couple things. It is the beginning of mandatory minicamps in the National Football League, and we love football around these parts. It is at least the beginning for 10 teams. So I'm going to go to the lounge. We're going to talk about who's in minicamps starting this week, because we got, like I said, we got 10 teams. We got 10 teams, one of which are these guys.
Calm down now.
The Vikings. So we got the Minnesota Vikings, we got the Detroit Lions, the Houston Texans, Tom's Miami Dolphins, who are now once again coached by Don Shula. He's back. Not true. San Francisco 49ers, the Chicago Bears, the Dallas Cowboys, the Indianapolis Colts, the Philadelphia Eagles, whose fans are trash. Sorry if you're offended, and the Tennessee Titans. So 10 teams. Getting into, obviously, the other 22 teams, we'll get into theirs. But 10 teams starting this week. And it just shows a couple things. One, we're past the draft. We're past voluntary workouts, the rookie workouts, all of that stuff. We're at the mandatory phase.
This is when checks start getting signed, like in.
Well, because what happens now is, and that's one of the storylines we're going to look at, is you've got holdouts, you've got things happening where people might not show up, and you start to have some of the drama happen. And this is the last period before they get a break, and then they go into actual training camp in July, which leads into, of course, preseason and then the regular season, where we can all be happy again, once again in life. But let's look at some of the top storylines to watch. We got one in Skull Nation in my home state of Minnesota, where there's a quarterback competition. You've got Sam Darnold, who was signed 1 year, $10 million deal. Shitty situation everywhere he's been. Got drafted by the Jets. Didn't have any help there in terms of tools, coaches, resources. Then went to the Panthers. Ditto. Same thing. Lands with San Fran for a year as a backup. Is a good player. And then we go and we draft J.J. McCarthy from my other guys. You see the world's uniting? I mean, this is beautiful what's happening here. So there's an interesting quarterback competition there. Sam Darnold supposedly looks good. He always looks good in the offseason, but looking good. Apparently, I mean, he's a good athlete. He's a better runner than people give him credit for, and the dude can sling darts. He's just never been in the right situation. So Kevin O'Connell, the coach there, is a quarterback whisperer, an offensive genius. Some people thinking that he holds them off. Some people thinking like JJ's just a winner. He's exciting. He's a great kid. Also has a cannon. Also can run. How long does it last? Is it game one? Is it after the bye week? When does this change? So it's going to be interesting to see how that all happens in Minnesota. My hope as a Minnesota Vikings fan and season ticket holder is that you like how I kind of dropped that.
Yeah, season ticket holder.
Just throwing it out there on the table.
You also need to say former Michigan player. I mean, you got to throw it all.
Well,
in
no,
there.
I was like a blink of an eye there, but
you can still use it.
For the couple minutes before I so I hope that Darnold has a hell of a year, and then at the end of the year, we can use him. I mean, he's on a 1 year contract, but do something creative to free up cap space and or get some sort of a deal or compensation out of him, move him on and move on to JJ, or better yet, keep him because he's a great number 2 in any system. So we'll see what happens with that. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure, though, to get JJ, and there always is, to get these rookie quarterbacks in. Certainly if you're a top 10 pick, or 11.
Well, especially the way he played last season. It was incredible to watch.
He's 27-1 at the University of Michigan as a starter. Like, pretty good. That's not too bad.
No.
So we'll see. Then JJ signs, staying with Minnesota, but Justin Jefferson signs this epic 4-year deal, biggest of any non-quarterback in NFL history yesterday, which we talked about. CeeDee Lamb's a stud. I've watched him live and in person a couple times, and I've watched him against us, and he pisses me off. He's wanting a new contract. So does he show up in Dallas? What does the JJ deal do for all of that? All of that very interesting. It's going to be interesting in Dallas. Dak Prescott also feels like Dak Prescott's always
talked about being traded somewhere.
Trading, and there's going to be a new deal, and then,
and they're like, he's our guy.
He's our guy. Yeah. And then the next year it's like, well, shit, that didn't go well.
I feel that for Cowboys fans, with Dak Prescott, I feel the same way about Tua. It's just like I'm at the point now where I'm like, enough is enough. We got to move on.
Yeah, great guy, and I think they're both great guys. I think they're good around the locker room. I think that they're people that you do want in your facility there, but.
And as of this morning, CeeDee Lamb had not shown up.
Not shown up.
So, but they could have changed. It's later in the day now.
I don't think it will. I think that there'll be a longer holdout here. He knows what he is. He knows what he's got. He knows what he offers. So we'll go to your team.
Yeah.
We've got a fingernail painting, gun slinging Caleb Williams.
On draft day, my dad called me. He's like, "Is that fingernail polish?" I'm like, "Yeah, you saw that right. That's fingernail." He got it done for the draft. He even said it before it happened.
He's into that kind of stuff.
He's into all of it, man.
But you can't argue about him being a great quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a very talented individual. I hate it. I hate him coming into the NFC North because that's where my team resides.
I don't know, man. Anybody who climbs up into the stands to cry on their mom's shoulder.
No, there's questions.
Yeah.
There's questions. Well, and also there was lots of, and I don't know what's true and what's not true. None of us really do, if we're being honest. But lots of discussion about I won't play for this team, that team, or the other team, and I might want some equity in said team. It's like, hold up, bro. That's ridiculous.
Those are like Don Lemon demands.
Yeah, and you didn't even win. Like, they were sub-8 wins last year at USC. And now you're joining us in the Big Ten. Good luck. But he is a talented person. So my question for him is, how does he fit in the locker room? I think he's a talented person. Do they have the right coaching staff, the right system for him? How does he gel with said system? How do his teammates respond to him now that he's there in Chicago? Because I could this one to me, not just in minicamp, obviously, as the season goes on and as the next several years goes on, is I think he's either it's a situation similar to Justin Fields where it's like, this guy was so talented and it didn't work out, or I could see him being the answer that they've been looking for a long time.
To me, it all depends on the QB staff and how they treat with him and work with him, and are they forcing him to go into a way of playing that he's not used to, or are they going to conform to him? What are they going to do? Bears are very traditional and old. They stick to the same 7 first plays every single game. It drives me crazy. But, the one thing that they said about Williams is that there's a few teams that talked to him before the draft, and they brought him out to places. The only team that he really felt like he was supposed to be there was the Bears. He was very happy to be there and all that stuff. So
well, and in fairness, they were the number 1 pick.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean,
I feel like I'm the best, so I should probably go to you guys because you're picking first, right? But it's a great organization.
Yeah, I'm saying he went to a few different organizations, and he said that he didn't feel like the fit was there. But when he was at Chicago, he was like, this. I feel like this could be home. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson, stud out of Florida. They kind of took a mailer on him because he didn't start that much at the University of Florida. Had some success, some not. Freak athlete. I mean, the dude's he's a man among boys. But he got hurt last year, missed most of the year. Gardner Minshew comes in, fills in for him. He's coming back off an injury. How does he fit back in? There tends to be a sophomore slump, but he didn't really get through all of his first year, so does that play in? I don't know. I'll tell you this, if you're in the AFC South, though, you're like, shit, that guy's back? Because he is.
How did they end up, Indy? How did they end up playing like their record. Sorry, my brain.
Words.
Yeah.
Words. I forget their final record, but Minshew.
Yeah.
They ended up having a great
I was
finish.
to say I felt like they've ended off really well with Minshew.
No, he did well. And now he's out in Las Vegas.
That's
out
right.
there. So, and then finally, you've got a former Viking who, when he gave us the Minnesota Miracle with Case Keenum, I was like, let me grind on this guy's leg. But now you've seen that he's kind of a locker room poison, and I'm talking about Stephon Diggs. Demands a trade, goes to Buffalo. Then isn't thrilled with everything he's got set up there in Buffalo and with Josh Allen, who's a gunslinger. Wants out. Now he's in Houston with C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, some great people. They've got Joe Mixon at running back. They've got some amazing pieces there. But what does Stephon Diggs do to your receiver room, to your huddle, to your locker room? What's his role? Nico Collins had an amazing. They're receiving. They made it to the playoffs last year with a rookie quarterback, who, by the way, we'll have this conversation. He's put himself. C.J. Stroud, who's a great dude, he's a believer, a Christian man, but puts himself in the top 5 of the current NFL quarterbacks. Maybe. I don't know. He's in contention. We'll have that conversation a different day. But does Diggs fit in there? How does that all work? You're not going to know everything in minicamp now. But I still, and I used to love the dude. I see Diggs as a poison. Like if someone was like, hey, we could pick up Diggs, be like, no.
Yeah.
I predict taking of the shoulder pads and shirt off during a game and making an AB exit.
Okay. Full on Antonio Brown. So I've got this, I follow a bunch of people in Minnesota sports and a lot of Minnesota sports fans, and there's like this great community there, which I'm sure there is for everyone else, but Minnesotans, we have nothing else but sports. So like they just go hard. And there's this one chick, and super into sports. Like she's the kind of chick you want to hang out at your sports parties and hangouts. And Antonio Brown sent her a message the other day, or at least the CTESPN, which I still don't even know what that stands for.
His website.
His website.
Yeah.
And
His podcast.
The DM was just, damn you fine. It was great. Anyways, there's lots of stories to look at.
Well, the biggest story of all that you just glossed over. Will
one?
the Chiefs' home schedule interfere with Taylor Swift's touring?
Oh.
Well, that's a season thing. That's not a mini camp. We can talk about that later.
I guess the real question is the relationship going to continue to the season?
Yeah.
And what happens if Travis gets pregnant?
Oh no.
I mean, we just went there. We'll see. We'll see, folks. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys. What's Chaos say here? Because Love the Drew's now picked up his football. He's consumed as an athlete. Will be. Yeah, fair enough. That's why we're starting to work this stuff in. It's it's just this is who I am. I don't need any notes to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
Like. That stuff's just ingrained in me. We talk about other stuff. It's like, what are we talking about again? Oh, yeah.
Moldova.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, hang on. Earlier, when you said how do we make that transition, I got to find the comment. It was, dang it. It's too far gone. Doesn't matter. Sorry. I've derailed us for no reason.
Well, it happens. It happens, and I've got to go because I've got to go see my mother for dinner.
Here it is. Brest to Moldova sounds like a Bing Crosby, Bob Hope road movie from Texas Patriot.
Of course, it would come from you, Tex. I love it. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. Please hit that like button on the way out if you have not. Please share this link with your friends and family, even people you hate. Just share it with them. Let's spread the love around here. We'll look forward to being back tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. With you guys, as well as Thursday, which will be the biggest meme-tastic in the we might not have another story. It might just be straight
all memes,
and we might turn it into a drinking game. I don't know what we're gonna do, but it'll be something.
If we make a drinking game, I will stop my not drinking just for that day.
Okay, yeah. Perfect, beautiful. We'll look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thanks again for being here. Be safe, be smart, be free.
Mike Lindell here, and like you, I see our country being destroyed daily. We face massive economic issues, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are people in power who threaten the values that have made our country great. Well, I've been a believer in gold and silver for a long time, and I've searched for years for a partner that shares my values. Well, Genesis Gold Group showed me how easy it is to protect your IRA, 401k, or your retirement with gold and silver. Their faith-driven approach to service and stewardship is one that stands out from the rest.
To get your free definitive gold guide and get started learning more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times, visit rvmgold.com now. Fill out the basic contact form and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, that's rvmgold.com or call 855-625-7760.